At John Brown's hanging, I got punched in the mouth. Spitting out quarters, I proclaimed every day a national holiday, and executed a one-person round. Glory, hallelujah. Crowd gathered, my blood tender, and laughed, as I'm something of a name around here. I left the stage and deflated, sat down at the bar and ordered a Barbara Bush, was handed a quite warm soda. This is my hometown, and this is my favorite verse. Engine impossible, incapable of happiness, of stopping. A low-slung hound dog biting at flies, tertiary noise. An impossible bug lands on my wrist, and I say, "Look at its colors!" And it bites, and the welt is just a permutation of my skin. You spend so much time positioning. The first two layers are quiet. You never sit in your furniture. "A ranger!" I shout unto the screen. "A ranger," I sigh into the grass. 17-year cicadas dig up to find a new era. The AM band. The salt water down to the inside of my body, the suddenly salty center. Someone in the building is having loud, unencumbered sex. That's not the joke. She started like a mourning dove, taking off, but continues like a documentary. I'm just here for the commentary. We head down to a spillway to get contemplative with the violence. We head to Fairfield for a cult vibe. I waddle in loafers, in time with the smut on my face, with the urge to faint. I swoon in the diet of the calendar's sad flesh. I hope to someday throw my shoe at the president. I'm walking around, untreated, ready to spoil. I shit myself for rock and roll in this soundless room, panting for water. Listen to the world, to the nearest iteration, amplified. There are obviously tones shelved in that emission. A John Cage of tones. My dear, don't let them lie to you. Iowa is ugly. Missouri is wounded. We both grew up in dirty houses. Rick Springfield, get off my lawn. Get out of my heart. Hang your hair up and wash your sheets, you monster. There's a lot to be decided yet, and plenty plenty yet to lose. Your penitent stance, the dog shit on your boots, your visible ribs. I scan the Dow ticker, tickling my television, and you're less than sting tonight. Don't pet my dog. Don't pretend anymore. All of these streets are one way. Every last frumpy sunset a warning. Then, I buy a new toothbrush, fill up my gas tank, and am invincible. I walk outside, and then, later, inside again. The highway rotates and crackles a mile away. I meet a man with a smile like a car wreck, a sidecar for a son. If I asked him for directions, he'd only make them up. When my head is removed, it doesn't carp. It's quiet. A solitary comfort. After a long day of sunlight. It's peeing after sex. It's trading in all my euros. Gaining some weight and some beard. I forget how many Hail Marys I've said and start over again. I put on my slut pants and hit the town running, returning home with a pornographic magazine from a dumpster. We discuss the nature of dialogue. It seems like we are fighting. Maybe we are flirting. With orgasm inevitable, I begin to make the sound of a small airplane circling down. A coastal motel comes in handy for this. The ocean, the HBO. If you place a passing highway to your ear, you'll hear them both. Cocktail. I'm writing a poem, using words. Celebrate by reviewing with me a full-paged ad in the style of an article. Employing words like belief, side effects, quality, poetic, and value. If, for any reason, you are not completely satisfied, simply return. Lamp or corpse fire. Digest this awful oxygen steady, steady. Nebraska is cheap tonight and overrun with weddings. As you cry, I pick you a ditch rose, we'll end up scattering on a grave in the Aurora Cemetery. After growing up awash in soy, review your notes. Growing up in the post-industrial, stand where your main character might stand. It's the way you channel yourself in the song of the refrigerator. A plurality of tones. We'll smile, picking tinsel from our bicuspids. My early drawings of women's bodies were based themselves on mediations, the likes of Motley Crue t-shirts. Nurses full of naughty, complete with anti-gravity. I am sorry, women. I am sorry, art. I enter the conversation with an erection and a strong dollar. Umlaut my heart. The teenage pollution of my smile haunts the bloating face I see satting back at me tonight. I call it a patina. You call it a mold. Your trip to the restroom marks the coda. I regather. Celebrate with me by reviewing this full-page article about advertisements, double vision, the flexing caress of the green screen. I'm writing a poem using words like ribs, royal, scree, bylight, and belief. Quarantine a little corner of your lungs for such blank words. You enter the conversation like a saxophone solo circa 1983. God damn you. Question 1. How do you feel about self-portraiture? Question 2. Honestly, how do you think this interview is going so far? Before a portrait of the skyline, you read us our news as answers. You use nicknames of cities. Cities, the sizes of cities. Dumb in the bylight. If my longing for time is X, and our inability to stop longing is also X, then we have a constellation of meridians and no time to map it. Forgive me this oral tradition. The longest train I ever saw was at least many coaches long. We dissolved codeine in whiskey in an apple juice container, and took off all our clothes and were clunky and awkward and sweet and dumb, and woke up ashamed or in love at least. I stopped counting. 15 years later, a new we all consume antifreeze and all make out in front of the union and head back to our place.